You blink. It's 3 in the morning. Your phone is 2 inches from your eyeballs. Your neck feels like it's been run over by a small but emotionally manipulative raccoon. And somehow, you're watching a guy eat drywall for likes. It started with a girl cutting soap. Now you know 5 different conspiracy theories about ancient Rome, the skincare routine of a frog, and that some guy named Brett cheated on his girlfriend with her cousin in a McDonald's parking lot. You scroll. You scroll like the screen owes you something, like the next video will finally fix whatever fundamental piece of your soul went missing around the time Vine died and your attention span turned into a Capri Sun wrapper. The app doesn't crash. You do. You don't even laugh anymore. Your face is frozen in a state of mild confusion and digital regret. The For You page feeds you content like a toxic ex who remembers your exact trauma and thinks it's hilarious. You open TikTok to relax. Instead, your cortisol skyrockets, your sense of self evaporates, and suddenly you're Googling whether or not you have ADHD because some girl with pretty lighting told you so between clips of her iced coffee. TikTok doesn't just suck, it sucks you into its algorithm, into its curated chaos, into a dopamine slot machine where you win nothing except the inability to sit through a 30-second microwave timer without checking your phone 4 times. Your day is now chopped into 90-second episodes of overstimulated nonsense. You forget what silence sounds like. You forget that thinking is a thing you used to do before a disembodied voiceover told you that men who like black coffee are secretly narcissists. You remember when dancing was fun. Now it's a synchronized capitalist chant performed by teenagers who age in reverse and somehow own Lamborghinis. The trends move faster than your will to live. A song is viral for 1 week, then becomes cringe, then gets repurposed into a trauma dump montage with rain filters and quotes from a guy named Kyle who thinks he invented emotional depth. TikTok sells you self improvement, it sells you healing, it sells you crystals, coaching, manifestation, gluten free toothpaste, and girl boss gaslighting with a touch of this is not financial advice. You buy none of it, but you consume all of it. You now know how to fold your laundry using neurodivergent friendly methods, how to make a smoothie that tastes like your childhood abandonment issues, and that your birth chart is probably the reason your last 3 situationships ghosted you after 4 dates. You didn't ask for this. The algorithm decided. You followed one girl because she had cool eyeliner, and now your entire feed is tarot cards, mental health spirals, and people crying in cars while holding Starbucks. You want to quit. But quitting feels impossible when your brain is wired for 5-second gratification and your real life has the pacing of a C SPAN marathon hosted by people who think NFTs are still a thing. TikTok trains you to chase chaos. It rewards extreme takes, hot drama, and the occasional raccoon in a hoodie riding a Roomba. It flattens your standards for entertainment until you can't watch a movie unless it's been broken into 3 parts with bright subtitles and Family Guy clips playing in the corner. Your brain doesn't crave stories anymore. It craves noise. You used to read. Now, the idea of finishing a paragraph feels like academic torture. You get the shakes trying to focus on anything longer than a tweet. You can't sit through a meal without reaching for your phone like it's a nicotine patch for your prefrontal cortex. You can't even walk without audio in your ears. Heaven forbid you hear your own thoughts. They're probably sponsored by Squarespace and unresolved childhood memories. You don't even remember why you opened the app anymore. Was it boredom, curiosity, a brief hit of serotonin shaped like a girl lip syncing to a Taylor Swift song while explaining her divorce? It doesn't matter. You're back. Again. You see a couple who look happy. You spiral. You see a hot take about attachment styles. You spiral. You see a guy with better skin than you'll ever have. You spiral. Each scroll is another micro meltdown, another flash of should I cut bangs, followed by should I delete everything and move to Portugal? You now measure your worth in likes and parasocial comments from strangers who think your dog looks depressed. You post something, it flops. You question your entire personality. You post something else, it blows up. You feel seen, then paranoid, then addicted. You notice that nothing is real. The authentic content is curated. The random videos are tested for engagement. The raw confessions are shot with ring lights and background music. Everyone's monetizing their pain, selling their trauma in bite sized pieces, and competing in the emotional Olympics for who can get the most views crying in their car. You realize you're not watching content. You're watching people perform breakdowns like it's Broadway for burnout. You miss the old internet. You miss forums and blogs and long videos where people just talked. Now, if someone doesn't hook you in 3 seconds with a jump cut and a scream, you're gone. You're the problem. But also, you're the product. TikTok makes you feel like you're learning, but most of it is recycled TED Talk energy repackaged with a filter and emotional damage. The life advice sounds deep until you realize it's a BuzzFeed quiz in disguise, written by a guy who's 19 and thinks healing your inner child involves a matcha latte and passive aggressive journaling. Everything starts to feel the same. Same voice, same format, same fake deep advice about cutting off toxic people and manifesting abundance while ignoring rent. The app is a funhouse mirror. It shows you what you want, then stretches it until it breaks. You can't tell if you like anything anymore, or if you just like how often you see it. You can't tell if you're sad or just overstimulated. You remember when watching people eat was weird. Now you watch someone chew spaghetti while explaining the plot of a true crime documentary, and part of you feels comforted. You start to crave the chaos. You need the hit. You feel like you're connecting, but really, you're alone, in your bed, eyes bloodshot, screen glowing, watching a 17-year-old explain the economy using Sims characters. You laugh, then feel empty. You learn so much, then retain nothing. You start seeing the world in trends. Someone falls down and you think, this could go viral. You stop noticing the sky, unless it's in a TikTok. You forget what your own voice sounds like without a trending sound layered underneath. You used to live, now you curate. A highlight reel of reactions and reposts and relatable content that's so relatable, it makes you question if you've ever had an original thought. You feel called out, then comforted, then called out again. You crave authenticity. You drown in aesthetic. You want to break the loop. But there's always one more video, one more laugh, one more take on a drama you didn't care about until the fourth analysis made you pick a side. You know it's bad. You stay anyway. You wonder how long you've been scrolling. Then you see a video telling you to go to sleep. It gets 5 million likes. So you close the app for 3 minutes. You open it again. No memory of how. Just your thumb moving, like it knows something you don't. You hate the app, but you'd rather be inside it than alone with your thoughts. The void stares back, and it has a ring light. You tell yourself it's just for fun, that it's harmless, that it's better than watching TV, that it's not that serious. Then you look up, and it's light outside, and your brain feels like someone put a blender on low and added 27 opinions about astrology and feminism and whether oat milk is a scam. You sit in silence for half a second, then you open the app. You don't even flinch anymore. You are not bored, you are broken, and TikTok is clapping.